Okay, I know that this is an art channel. Like all my videos so far have been about painting, but I wanted to make a video about writing because I think that being an artist is a holistic experience. Like no matter what your medium is, whether you're a painter or a photographer, a writer, a chef, you probably create in all different kinds of ways. And you probably don't consider all of those creative outlets to be linked to your work. But I think that they all are. They're so interlinked. And I don't know if I would paint if I didn't write, if that makes sense. And I'm not like a writer by any means, but I've always had that inclination to write things down, to put my life into print, to make it feel more concrete and yeah, to sort of help me process it, but also to memorialize it in a way to make it something tangible that I can go back to. So, the reason I'm making this video is not necessarily just to talk about writing. It's to talk about how I finally got to a place where I was writing every day. And I've been doing that for the past 6 years. So, this was like a huge breakthrough for me because ever since like childhood, I've always had that inclination to write. But for like my young adulthood, most of it, I struggled to create that habit, to actually make it something that I did consistently. I always wanted to, but there was just like a block, and I would journal, I don't know, 5 times a year or something, and I could never make it stick. So, I'm going to talk about how I finally figured out a system or a way of writing that makes me want to do it every day. And yeah, I feel like this could be useful for you. Like if you're in that spot where you're wanting to write every day and you just can't figure out how to do it, maybe some of what I share will be helpful to you. But I think it can also be applied to other habits as well. I'm hoping because I'm trying to kind of cross apply the concepts and the tools that I used to create this habit and integrate that into other areas of my life, especially sketching and using my sketchbook. So I've made a video about that, and I did an experiment where I took my sketchbook with me everywhere for a week. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and watch that video. So I've created a list, and I'm just going to go point by point and kind of share with you guys what has worked for me and how I got to where I'm at with the writing habit. The first thing that I've written is that you need to have a good reason. And maybe this seems obvious, but as I kind of touched on, everybody has a different reason for writing. I know a lot of people write not because of the content of the writing or because they want to produce anything, but because of the effect that writing itself has on them. I know this is a big thing with morning pages and the whole artist's way practice, and a lot of people do morning pages. Morning pages are not about what you write. They're about the act of writing and just spending that time every morning kind of emptying your brain or just like dumping it out onto the page. So that's one potential reason for journaling is what it does to your brain. Maybe it calms you down, maybe it's meditative, maybe it just like de-stresses you. I think for most of us though, we journal because of the content. We want to be able to look back and remember the things that we're writing. And a lot of time it's kind of a bit of both. It's the act of writing and being able to return to what we've written. So I think we should explore that even deeper when we're trying to figure out what our specific reason is for writing. Is it because you want to remember the things you did in your life? Or is it because you want to remember your reflections or what you were learning about? Try to pin down exactly what it is that lights you up. What is it that you love to return to? And let's say if you were to find a journal that you had completed like a year or two ago, what would you really hope was in the pages? Like what would make you excited to be able to go back and read and kind of relive or be reminded of? Because I think a lot of the time we're just writing the wrong things and we're sitting there and like, why is this not sticking for me? Like, I hate writing this. Why am I doing it? And maybe you're just not writing about the right thing. If it doesn't excite you, if it doesn't feel interesting enough to write down in the first place, and you don't think you'll be interested to ever read it again, maybe you're just not writing about what you truly want to write about. I don't think journaling always has to be about us and our lives. Like, you'll put that into it in a sense, but we could be talking about like creative writing or poetry or storytelling as well. The reason why I write and why I want to write every day is because it makes like the years of my life this tangible thing that I can hold. And this is a year, right? This is 6 years. And it's just like kind of magic to me. I don't know. Just knowing that this is 6 years of my life, and like each of these journals feels like a friend, and I remember using it, even though they all look the same. But I can open them up and flip through the pages, and it feels like time travel. And I get to like remember what I was thinking about, remember what I was learning and caring about, and like even the stupid stuff that I wrote, it makes me smile, or it makes me realize like, wow, I've come so far. Like, I'm so glad that I don't think like that anymore because I've grown, but I get to see that growth through the years, through the pages. It is like one of my favorite things, honestly. So I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing this. This is 6 years. If Moleskine stops making this journal, I'm going to flip out. I'm totally going to flip out. That's my reason. I wouldn't do it if it was something that I never looked back at. I wouldn't do it if it didn't bring me joy or teach me something. So that's my reason. Yours might be different, but I just wanted to share what mine is. So that's the first point, is reason. You have to figure out your reason and try to nail down a more specific, like a really precise reason, and maybe write that down to remind yourself of it if you're having trouble even remembering why you're wanting to start this habit in the first place. The second thing is to align the content with the reason. I sort of already talked about that, but basically, if your reason is that you want to be able to remember the things that you were learning and processing, then write about that. Don't write like what flavor ice cream you ordered and like who you got dinner with, if that's not what you're interested in reading about in the future. Don't feel like you have to write something just because that's what other people do or whatever. Write about the thing that motivates you in the first place. So it may seem obvious, but I think for me, it wasn't for a long time. I just wanted to write for the sake of writing, and I wasn't clear on my objectives and like why I was even doing it. Okay, the second point is, how does it feel? So I think there's a bunch of factors in this. The first is just, what is that journal or that notebook, whatever you're using to write in, maybe it's even your computer, but does it feel good? Does it feel like something that inspires you to write or encourages you to write? Or does it feel like it's kind of like getting in the way? Maybe it's actually an obstacle. So for me, I love these Moleskine journalers, and I'll talk about another reason why I love these in a little bit, but like the leather bound, the cream colored pages that are lined, and the size of it, it's not an overwhelming amount of page I have to fill. So yeah, it's all about the feel, and then the feel of your writing utensil as well. Like, make it something that gets you excited. Make it your favorite pen, or do a bunch of different colored pens if that's like more visually appealing to you. Or if you prefer pencil, like make it a pencil that you really enjoy using. And I'm really not like a screens person. I don't like using the computer and like typing, but I did for a while, because it is true that like writing with my hand, sometimes my hand just starts to hurt, and then that can be an obstacle for me in writing more. So back when I was doing morning pages, I tried to do it in a notebook, and I just couldn't get myself to sit there and write with my hand for that long because it was painful. So I got this app called Ohm Writer, and it's just like a desktop app, and it's really cool. It has like ambient background noises, and like the whole screen is like a certain color. They just have like all these cool backgrounds, and then there's typing noises which you can turn on or off, and it's like little like satisfying clicking sounds when you're typing. So that's also what I mean when I talk about feel. Like, make journaling something that feels fun and good and makes you want to come back to it. And then also you could think about like the environment as well. Like, when are you writing? Is it in the morning? Like, whether you're a morning person or a night person, I think that matters. And you want to align those habits that are hard for you with like the time of day where you're at your best. So I love mornings. I'm way more likely to write in the morning than I am any other time of day. So just trying to like align that with when I'm having my coffee and everything feels like peaceful and I'm actually in the mood to write. But that could be any time of day for you. You know, try to figure out like, how does it feel? And like, maybe this involves a lot of trial and error and you have to give something a try for like a week or two and then realize it's not for you and then try a different type of day or a different notebook, that kind of thing, you know. Don't be afraid to experiment and have it like not end up being what you like. Sometimes we don't know what we like until we try it. Another thing in this category is like how the book itself looks, even on the outside. I know some people have so much fun like decorating each journal. You could paint it, or you could just like go and buy a cute one from a small business or something every year, and that might really motivate you too. Just knowing when you get to the end of your journal, you're going to be shopping around and looking for another pretty one that brings you joy. I am more boring than that, and I like when they all look exactly the same. There's something about it on the shelf that, I don't know, I just love that. I love, it's just like this black stack of books that gets thicker every year, and it's very satisfying to me. It feels very controlled in a way that I love. I detest when there's books on a shelf and they're all different heights. Like, that just that gets to me. It bothers me. So that is how I like it. However, on the inside, that's where I kind of like let myself go wild. And even though the outsides of the books all look the same and all look really like, what's the word I'm looking for? Plain and boring, on the inside, I will use different colors. I'll use different markers and pens, and just like, I write really sloppily too. I don't try to write well. I'm bad at spelling. I always leave letters out. And I used to use pencil and so that I could erase, but now I just use pen most of the time and I cross things out like crazy. So my pages usually have at least a couple crossed out words or things like that. And I started also drawing in them a little bit, doing doodles and just things that would anchor me to that moment and help me remember in a different like visual way. So I have words and doodles and images in there. Sometimes I tape stuff in them too, like ticket stubs and just random little paper memories. I will sometimes tape in the pages. Okay, the next thing is take advantage of your bizarre motivators. So I don't know if this is like a thing for everyone. I'm pretty sure it is, but we all have that thing, like something that motivates us that is maybe inexplicable or weird. For me, it's this, okay? I get these moleskin journals that are actually, I think it's meant to be a planner. It used to be called the Daily Journaler, I think. And now they call it the Daily Planner or Daily Diary, maybe. But they have the day of the week and the date already written on the page. So I order my journal in December every year for the next year. And it's all mapped out. Like, every day has a page. This is so motivating for me. I don't know why. I can guarantee you that if I had a journal exactly like this, that didn't have the days written on it, I would not write. I would write like twice a year. Seriously, I don't know what it is. Like, it's something in my brain that just says, okay, the day is written on there, so you have to do it. And I don't always do it on the exact day. Like, sometimes I'll go a day or two without writing. And then when I do open up the book, I'll fill then 2 or 3 pages. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go back and I'll fill that date as well, which is cool because sometimes I have more to say. So sometimes I will want to write something that covers 4 pages. And then it more or less corresponds to the same day because I never get too behind. I'll usually only go like a couple days without writing. But so I consider this my bizarre motivator. Like, why am I motivated? By the fact that the date is already written on the page? I don't know, but it works for me. And when I discovered that, I was like, okay, this is amazing. So I recommend, I don't know if that's like something that would motivate you all. I don't know if that's relatable, but like find that thing that kind of pushes you to do it. So I think a lot of the time those bizarre motivators, they have to do with a sense of satisfaction. Like it's just really satisfying to me that every day is accounted for. Every day is one page and I get to look at this and see visually what a year looks like. And I think that there are probably different versions of this type of like satisfying that you could find for yourself. Like maybe it's not that every page is labeled with the date. Maybe it's something else. I can't think of any examples, but oh, I thought of one. One thing I did last year was I put a sticker. So I have this big sticker book. It's like the antiquarian one. So it's all these like vintage copyright free images. They're so cool. So what I did was I picked a sticker for the first day of every month. And so you could do like some variation on that. Like maybe you get a sticker book and every day or the first day of every week, whatever, has like a certain sticker or, you know, something like that. Anything that's going to just like bring you satisfaction, I say go for it or try it out at least and see. Like that might be the thing that like pushes it over the edge and makes it something that you keep doing for years and years to come. If the idea of writing every day really overwhelms you and you feel like you have to have like these original thoughts that are worth writing, I totally relate to that. And I think one thing that really helps me overcome that is I put quotes from other people in my journals a lot. So I will use them to take notes on like maybe a lecture that I listened to or a sermon or whatever. I will also sometimes put like my favorite quotes or things that I hear that I love in the journal. I don't do it super often. There's probably like, I don't know, 10 pages of original writing for every one that I have a quote on. But just knowing that I don't always have to like have these original thoughts that are worth writing about. Sometimes I can just sit there and be like, I got nothing. So I'm going to write a quote from this book I've been reading that I really love and I don't want to forget. So if that helps you kind of overcome the fear of like not having anything to say or writing something stupid, I also think nothing we write is stupid. You could fill the pages with anything and you're probably going to be happy that you did it. And you're probably going to look back and think that, oh, that's actually not stupid. I just felt like it was at the time. That happens to me a lot where I'm sitting there and I don't feel like I have anything to write about, but I write anyway. And then maybe a month later, I look back at it and I think, wow, I'm so glad that I wrote that down. So you never know. My last tip, I think, is just not to let a bad streak make you give up because that's definitely happened for me where I'll go like a long time without writing. Ever since I started using these, it's never been too long, but you know, like a week sometimes will go by and I'll think, oh my gosh, I literally have not opened this book and now I have 7 empty pages and I don't know what to write on them and I don't remember anything. Um, and I'm tempted to just like give up. But what I do in that situation is I'll just write something short on each page. Or I'll just do one long blah entry of like stream of consciousness that covers all the pages. I try not to be too rigid. I don't set like these expectations that I have to do it perfectly. And sometimes I do leave blank pages. If I really feel like I have nothing and it's just too overwhelming to try to fill every page, I have left blank pages, or I'll just do a quick doodle on the page, or I'll write a lyrics from a song that I've been listening to that's like really meaningful to me. I especially did that in the beginning when I was just getting started. My first book is this one was the bigger version. It's actually a year and a half. And when I was doing this, I sometimes didn't write because I was still getting used to it. And I found it easier to just skip some pages, or even here you can see, like, I just wrote a sentence. And, you know, I'm so glad I did that. There's something about like Tuesday, January 21st, smoky air. That's what I wrote. I don't know. Were there wildfires? Was I being poetic? I really don't know why I wrote smoky air, but I'm glad that I did. You know what I mean? And then, like, I tucked in the invitation for the opening of my first art studio and grand opening. It's just like fun to have these things. So this is before I was even super consistent. And I think, see, this is what happens when I open these. I get sucked in and I'm like, oh, what was happening? And so I'm getting distracted. But I think that was really helpful, just going so easy on myself when I first started out and not trying to fill every page, just not letting those streaks, like long periods of time where I didn't do it, not letting that get to me. Just keep going, continue, just write. You don't have to go back and fill the pages. Do if you want to, but you don't have to. Just continue and yeah, do the thing, trust the process. The process of like writing every day is just writing. So you don't have to make it about the content. You don't have to make it about what you write. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be good. I think the only way we get anywhere is just accepting that we're going to do something poorly at first. And we're not going to know exactly how to do something or how we prefer to do it. It takes so much trial and error. And I'm so glad that I stuck with this habit because now it's just like a staple of my life. I do not have to think about it. I don't have to remind myself to write every day. I just do it. And now I feel like these books are such an outlet, like a place, a safe place to put my thoughts, my reflections, anything that's important to me that I don't want to let go of, I put in these books and I just feel like deep breath, you know, like every time I fill a page, I just feels like a deep sigh of contentment, I guess. So that is my journey with journaling. I didn't talk a lot about how it relates to art because it doesn't directly relate that often. I don't write about my painting super often. Sometimes I do. But it's more of just like an outlet, a creative outlet, and it allows me to see the world in a way where then I can translate it into paintings. So I do think the two are really innately linked, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it. And yeah, in general, I just think writing every day is such a good thing to do. Like, I think it's so beneficial. It helps us to know ourselves and just to enjoy life more, I suppose. I don't know. This is an ad for writing now. That's not what it was supposed to be. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful or interesting. If you have any thoughts or tips for anything on this topic, or sticking with a habit or writing every day, leave them in the comments. Or if you have any questions, there might be things that I didn't really address or didn't mention. Definitely let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. So thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Wait, don't go. I forgot to talk about something. So I made a Substack and it is so much fun. I'm having a blast. I'm doing a weekly digest where I share like 3 favorites every week. And then on top of that, I share like a painting that's inspired me, a quote that's inspired me, the best food that I ate that week, and a letter from a stranger. So I've always had this thing where I love finding things, like usually it's like pieces of paper, like old photos or old postcards, notes, things like that. And I've started sharing them. So I call it a letter from a stranger. And it's been so much fun to do because now, like, I've always loved these things, but now I'm on the lookout for them. So I've been finding things. I feel like everywhere I look, I'm finding things that are so worth sharing. This was the first one I shared, and it's this typewritten homework from someone called Elaine in 1969. And it's just like so cool. I found that inside a book. And then I found an entire book written about this woman's life. This is what I'm writing about today, or tonight I'm going to write about this. And she has like these old, she has a photo of herself in there, and she did an inscription on the first page. Another letter from a stranger that I shared was actually a seed that I found in the middle of the sidewalk when I was on a walk, right? Okay, I found this seed, it was like that big. And it just like was so out of place. I was looking around figuring out like what it could have come from. I couldn't figure it out. So I brought it home and I sprouted it on a paper towel. And now it's like a full on plant, you guys. That was like 2 weeks ago. Now it's like this big of a plant. So that's the kind of thing I write about in my Substack. It is so fun and I share like recommendations. It's just a blast. So go ahead and subscribe. What are you waiting for? Just come join me on Substack every week. I'm going to try to do it every Saturday, and I've been doing it for 3 weeks now. So I'm very consistent. If you're craving consistency in your life, stability, I'm your girl. I'm very stable. So follow me on Substack. Every Saturday, you will get the most fun email in your inbox. It's like a fun replacement for social media, okay? You don't need to scroll. You can just sit back with a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and just read a well-crafted, well thought out email. And this is another like outlet for my writing because I don't normally share my writing. So this is kind of the first form in which I've ever shared it, which is very exciting and very fun. So yeah, forgot to talk about that. Follow me on Substack. I cannot wait to see you there. Okay, I forgot to say, the link for the Substack is in the description. Guys, I'm new to YouTube. I don't know how to do it. It's in the description. Also, if you're curious about the content of my journals, I made this little journal section on my website and I like photocopied some of my favorite pages just from I think last year's book. And so yeah, if you're curious at all and you want to see some of the pages, I will link that section of my website below also. Okay, I feel like I have to give you something for staying this long. If you made it this long, I feel like I have nothing to offer you. But if you made it this long, thank you. Wow, you're so patient. You're winning. Okay, for real this time, bye you guys. See you in the next one.